Remember when dictators were a bad thing? Xi Jinping was already a dictator the last 6-7 years, put in power by the Communist Party of China, the Politburo, and the Select Committee. Now he was made last week permanent dictator along with his vice president. And if you watch CNN or MSNBC or ABC or NBC or CBS or PBS or NPR, you listen to that, it's all how great he is and how moderate he is. And the Vatican said 2 weeks ago, the Pope, that communist China is the model of brotherhood and family when they kill Christians and sell their organs. I mean, it's a sick joke if you're informed. As a liberal like myself, a classical liberal, Thomas Jeffersonian, who's actually read the works of Jefferson, and then I just see nothing about Tiananmen Square. I see nothing on any of these subjects. I see nothing being reported, nothing. And then China has zero corporate tax. We have a 15%. They were at 15, we were at 40. We lowered it, they went to zero. China has a 20+% tax on cars coming in. We have a 2%. Same thing with the EU against us. And it's just dozens and 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 dozens. There's over 150 tariffs by the communist Chinese government. How do you think China went from being 90% agrarian 40 years ago to dominating world trade? Our elites made deals with communist China where they were tax exempt, tariff exempt, you name it. We have all the regulations on us where the globalist corporations could side with them and leverage out all their competition. It's been a vertical integration, top down, like Apple and the slave factories and the Foxconn and the suicide nets. You know about that, 18-hour workdays, right? But as long as the liberal Apple head wears pink socks, it's like, oh, I'm trendy, Black Lives Matter, I own slave camps, liberal. That's where this is. China has dozens of mobile execution vans per city, look it up, where they take the Buddhist and Christians and Tibetans' organs on the way to the airplane. So that's what's going on. I mean, I'm a news guy. I cover this. China doesn't deny that they killed 84 million of their own people under Mao Zedong. They arrested his wife. They had him on house arrest when he was senile. China said, we're sorry for having a dictator. Now they're proud of him. Only David Rockefeller in the 70s told the New York Times he was proud of the dictatorship of China. Look up David Rockefeller's op-ed piece memorializing the death of Mao Zedong in the 70s. Look it up. It's online, scan it. You want to read sickening evil about how the wonders of command and control and China and how great. Communism in China couldn't succeed unless America's mass wealth, over half the world GDP in the 60s and 70s, was given to them. And so, Trump says, well, you've got over 100 tariffs on us. We'll just lower from 40 to 15 to match you. They go, we're going to zero on corporate tax. Okay, well, then I'm going to pick a few things with 15% tariffs on them, like steel and automobiles. Oh my God, you can't do that. Our own media attacks and demonizes and says it's bad when it's a fact. They think you are uninformed. They think you haven't looked. Do you like being a schmuck? If you're a leftist with a fake university degree that's worthless, you're siding with communist China like it's your muscle, like those leftist women in Kansas and other states like Washington, where they say no free speech allowed unless you're a leftist and all this other craziness. I mean, how did we ever get to this point? Big mega corporations made a deal with China to use their billion-plus slaves to leverage out the globe and to deindustrialize and to centralize control, and they've done it. And along comes Trump and says, we're not going to have a trade war with you, we just got to equalize trade. And China is in the news today saying, we're in a war and we'll fight you to the end. And we're going to conquer America. and the Council on Foreign Relations and the leftist CIA leaders, they say China is undefeatable. Lloyd Blankfein was the head of Goldman Sachs until a month ago. He said, Trump will never succeed. America's dead, in tweets. He said, no one will stop China. The head of Goldman Sachs, born in this country, given all our military power, everything, talking crap about America and saying, how's your infrastructure week going? Well, guess what? You're out at Goldman Sachs, aren't you? So Trump is taking control of foreign policy. And we are restoring our republic. And we are restoring our jobs. And we're all being demonized in the process. But we're not here with the Hollywood globalist traders and the mainstream media to be loved by them. I'm not a suicidal person. I love life. But I'd kill myself if Hollywood and mainstream media like me. People say, how you taking it? Man, I'm taking it damn good. Having traitorous scumbags hate me and lie about me because I'm trying to restore the republic and the Renaissance and free market and freedom worldwide and classical liberalism. I'm damn proud. And that isn't me putting a good face on this. For every attack we get, monetarily, listener-wise, everything, we get even bigger. The waves come in, they bring us down, and then we pop even higher. It's metaphysical. But I'd do it if I was destroyed. I'd do it if I was shut down like Job next week, because it's the right thing to do for humanity. All you cowards, and I'm not our regular listeners, but some of you that are watching, you think as you've been given Twitter and Facebook and Google bots, and you can all bully us and try to make us feel alone, that when like I put out a tweet and they block it and then 100 bots come in and 1,000 people tell me I'm a piece of crap. I look at this and I go, my God, the bots are 10 times worse than they were a year ago. I'm doing a good job. You think your fake accounts and your bots do anything to me? See, I'm talking to the people that are left out there. Sean Parker, head of Facebook, went public a few years ago and said, we're trying to keep you depressed and dumb and this is immoral. That's what the whole enchilada's about. The globalists thought they'd expose conservatives data mining Facebook a few weeks ago with the Analytica thing out of the UK. And I said on Sunday, I said, this will destroy Facebook because they're exposing one limited aspect of conservatives and nationalists trying to use it to cut them out. And they expose the entire golden goose illegal surveillance grid in the process. It's 60 billion lost now in just 5 days. People ask, is Jones hooked in with intelligence agencies? Why does Trump say the same thing he says the next day? Or why do they give speeches simultaneously? They're the exact same words, in the exact same order. It's called spirit. You should try to experience it. It's what America is. It's why they all want it. Because it's it. We have the birthright. We have the will. We have the Atlantean vision. But you've got to decide through free will you want it. And you can be a Chinese background or an African background or Jewish background. It's religious, but they call it racial or Muslim, whatever. If you want liberty and human empowerment and love humanity and want to see it empowered, you're a human. If you're not, you're dead. And the people selling this think those of us that have emotions or care or conscience are animals. Those of you that are against this are animals. So, this way death, this way life, the signpost, metaphysically. I will win because I've chosen the right path metaphysically at a spiritual level. So when I say to the left, the modern left, or the globalists or their minions, choose wisely. It isn't like I'm trying to sell you on something for my success. I'm trying to sell you on the path of your own free will that leads towards victory. Not the path Glenn Beck took, not the path Michael Moore took. Everybody that thought the establishment could give them power, that thought going with the establishment and the system could give them power, when it was trailblazers and independents that built what we have now that was taken over by what you call the system, the parasites. And so you stand at the crossroads. Will you side with the president in 15 months that's delivered a new economy, sovereignty, positivity, a new outlook? Or will you side with the corrupt, evil Vatican and the EU and the communist Chinese and the radical Islamicists and their Hollywood-empowered army openly trying to collapse the West in open invasion and the United States? It's your choice. See, it's the choice that matters. This is all a simulation. It's genetic, it's third dimensional, it's real. See, real simulations aren't like Ready Player One. We put goggles on. Real simulations are millions of years old, and all of our ancestors reaching towards the stars and the future. Their genetics reaching up like primitives at the stars, wanting to touch God's face, and God wants to touch theirs, but it has to be free will. That great, long, growing experience that's so pure. But you don't get that without the free will. So the communist Chinese that have murdered 4 times the people that Hitler killed, 3 times the Russians killed, 20 plus times what the Cubans and Venezuelans have killed. And they're there at Davos with the globalists saying China and the communists will save us, when they are the most abject. I mean, people die in China. There's just rotting dead people on the sides of the street everywhere. Paul Watson was married to a Chinese lady. He could go tell you about it. You'd be driving along, a black cloud would roll by, you'd be choking, it'd be the smell of feces and dead people. You'd be out in the middle of the mountains and the police would shake you down for money. And then she'd flash her, party badge, saying, oh, God. I mean, if you want to live under that, that's where Bernie Sanders and people went to go to honeymoon. I mean, you really want to live like that. It isn't China that created all this. America gave Promethean fire to the communist Chinese. They didn't give us the fire. They don't have the fire. And all you people that went and doubled down, like buying hundreds of lottery tickets, you got 2 or 3 degrees, believing that if you got all those degrees, you'd be let into the power structure. But you're not. The power structure is humanity. The power structure is getting lined up with God. The power structure is truth. So China has all these giant tariffs against us, and Trump just starts with some small ones against them. He tried to lower our corporate tax to meet them, and they said, we're going to 0, and Apple's moving here, and we're giving the state-run keys, and they even just passed a bill that Trump doesn't know about, where U.S. companies are allowed to give the Chinese government everybody's internet ID. The left, if you wanted to get Machiavelli, it's almost like Trump's evil, but he doesn't know it. And he panicked the globalist left into openly giving communist China all the keys, all the data, the missile secrets, the backup codes, the internet IDs, all the algorithms. They just gave it to them. Apple, Facebook, Google just gave them everything. It's in the news. Congress just passed a law to just give China everything. I mean, we're wide open. You can't make this up. And the average leftist just wants to hit me in the head with a bike lock. They don't even know what the country is, or the separation of powers, or the history. They never read Jefferson. They never read Tolstoy. They never read Voltaire. They never read Plato. They never read anything. They just feel the power of the globalists, and they think if they side with that, they'll be somebody. And then I see Trump and Pence saying the era of American surrender is over. And I see the light in their eyes and how real it is. And I see their body language and how Trump's on fire, Pence is on fire, and everybody else is scared, because everybody else resigned scared, because they've said they're going to kill them if they do this. And there's Trump standing. And that's where I want to be. Because he stands at the promontory, at the furthest extension of American dream and vision that changed the world and built it on people's ingenuity and thoughts, not on slavery. And he has bet, and he believes on the people. He believes in the people. And to see Trump all in, so confident, so real, like the North Star, is an amazing thing. So those of you that have been pre-programmed to giggle at this or laugh, I know that most of the viewers and listeners are awake more than I am. They're the prodigal sons. We need them. And you know the story of the prodigal son. Rich landowner, rich farmer, rich rancher in Israel, back in the days of after King David. Whether you believe the story or not, we all know these stories are true in our own lives. And I'll close with the prodigal son. And he comes to his father when he's 14, 15 years old. He's a man now. And he says, I want my inheritance. And his father respects the family and respects the name and respects who they've been. And he says, here's this big chest of gold and silver. Here is your inheritance. Here's half my wealth. The older son says, why did you do that? And he says, I respect my family. And I respect your decisions. You're a free person. You have free will. And the son goes off for almost a decade. Every drug, every hooker, every horrible thing. And he's homeless for years. Doesn't even know where his family is. He's so drunk. Hundreds of miles away, bombed out of his brain. And finally, begging on the highway, he sees a farm he recognizes. And he runs into it. And he's in the pig sties. He's in the cow slots. He's in the where the animals are at. And he's drinking out of the horse trough with the donkeys and the horses. And he looks up, and one of the old servants of the family sees him and takes him into his father. And his father gives him a shower, new clothes, jewelry, sign of the house, takes him up, announces a huge party to slaughter all these cows. And back then doing that was like, hundreds of thousands of dollars a piece equivalent, huge. And he says, call the whole town together. And the older brother comes in because the old dad's about to retire. He says, Father, I never asked for anything. I never sold you out. I never did anything traitorous. Why are you doing this for my little brother? And he said, because you've always been true. I love you 10 times more. Think how much I love you that I do this for him. We had your brother lost and he's back. Just because you're there and good and strong doesn't mean we don't take care of the little sheep in our family. And that's it. You've been given everything, America. Everything. And you shit all over it. And you hate it. And you ally with people that killed 84 million of their own people. That isn't a number, man. The globalists and Rockefeller allied with them because they killed 70 million little girls before they were born. Not counting the 84 million that were already born. Because they're totally reprobate. And the communist leadership of China is soulless. And they're now allied against us. And we're set up by the globalists and the robber barons to bring us down and break our will. And thank God we've got a beachhead to stand against it. And so that's why I talk to people that aren't awake, even though they laugh at me and get in my face, everything else, because they're the prodigal son. Those of you that are already awake, thank God you're with us. Thank God I'm with you. If I fall and get pulling away, come get me. It's the people we haven't gotten. As crazy and dumb as they are, we got to reach out to them. Black, white, Hispanic, old, young. We've got to get them back with us. And we've got to be decent and just ask them, why the hell don't you side with America and with a republic and with the Christian ethos that gave you everything you've got? Will you side with Trump and America or the communist Chinese in one-sided deals that have totally deindustrialized us? So you could all get freaked out not having jobs and go get 2 or 3 degrees. So you get social engineered. It's all been laid out. Please, you've got a chance to turn it around. I'm successful. I'm smart. I'm going to be good no matter what. But I'm not a schmuck because I care about you. And all of you that think I'm under attack, so I must be a loser, that's because they think you're a follower. We're under attack because we're on target. I want to be under attack. I always wanted to be under attack. I've always been exposing the globalists. And they say, well, why do you supposedly support Trump all of a sudden? Because he's doing the right thing and he's hated like I am. And he's following the basic Americana plan. I want to thank Rob, dude. Look at Rob. He's got his new short haircut. Never seen that before. Pretty sharp. Rob, you want to comment on this unless you come with your family?
Well, to think that we have people in our government that are so incestuous relationships with the Chinese, and that they are going to come out and say, oh, this trade war is the worst thing that could ever happen because they are sided with these people is despicable. And they all really need to look in the mirror and examine their lives and go, why do you hate your country so much? Why don't you want your country to be successful? Hey, China could be successful and we could be successful. But
if we equalize it,
exactly.
It'll make them pay their people more.
Exactly. And they'll raise their standard of living. They have a lot of people living in the rural areas that they need to industrialize a little more. And they could all have what we have here. But they don't want that to happen. They like to keep their people under control because there's too many of them. And if they start to realize all these people out in the rural areas go, hey, wait a minute, we outnumber the police, and we outnumber these people, 10,000 to 1, 20,000 to 1. Oh, well, they won't be able to keep control of the country. And so they're trying to keep their people down. And that's why they have the censorship. That's why they block all their access to online information, because they don't want these people to have that information. And that's why it's starting to happen here, because the groups over in Silicon Valley are looking to see what's going on in China and go, we got to do that here. We can't let people talk about guns. We can't let people talk about the Second Amendment. Yeah. So they're taking that model and bringing it here. And that's why it's more important than ever to stand up and to share these videos. That's all I got to say.
Everybody's talking about Owen going to city council and putting a mask on and saying just a month ago, people outside this area, there's a park right there, said you couldn't come on the park with guns on him. That video's on Infowars.com. All right, that's the bottom line, folks. Appreciate you all. Get back to your family. I'm going to hang out with mine. Right. Infowars.com, newswars.com. They're openly ending free speech. They're openly coming after everybody. They just think you're dumb and will just go along with it. But I believe in you, and I think we're going to win. So Trump is the real deal. Doesn't mean he's perfect, but he's a sovereign president trying to return power back to the republic. It's an amazing time to be alive. So that's it. It's up to you, folks, whether you want to be slaves or not. Because if you think being leveraged out by China is going to make your standard of living go up, you're crazy. Which side are you on, folks? China or America? The globalist or America? You got free will. It's up to you.